I got him over D-Wade, but I'm out of pocket.
Yes, you are. But
if you think about it, when he by himself, like D-Wade, he had Shaq, then he had Bron. He ain't never really been by himself. When Miami was by themselves, they was trash. I remember Joe and them was not like killing. They was going in battles, Miami versus Atlanta. Nah, he better than D-Wade, bro. I'm sorry, bro.
That's tough.
He's better than D-Wade, bro.
What the hell is even that?
I have no idea either. What is Jeff Teague thinking? Sometimes it's hard to tell when these podcasters are being genuine, but it seems like he honestly believes what he said. Jeff Teague said a lot of things that are outright false, and so one needs to set the record straight. He started by saying that he has James Harden over Dwyane Wade. It seems like all he is doing is basing his opinion on scoring numbers. He is completely ignoring the fact that Wade is 100 times better at defense, and he's a winner of the highest order. Hence the 3 championships and the finals MVP in his trophy case, while Harden has never reached the finals while being in the starting rotation. For many people, that's more than enough to say without a doubt that Wade should be ranked over Harden. But then he mentioned that Wade had Shaq. Correction, it was Shaq that had Wade, not the other way around. Throughout the Miami Heat's 2006 championship season, he was clearly the best player on the team. He was a team leader in points and assists. Keep in mind that the NBA was not a positionless league, and Wade was not the team's point guard. He was just an exceptional all-around player. In fact, he finished 10th in assists that season, and he was the only non-point guard in the top 10. He even averaged more assists than LeBron James. Imagine if he played in today's league and was asked to make every conceivable decision for his team, as James Harden did for the Houston Rockets. Maybe his numbers would be just as good. Everyone seems to only bring up his performance in the finals, but let's not ignore what he did in the conference finals. He was playing against the Detroit Pistons. They were historically great at defense, and they peaked this season at 64 wins. But Wade torched them by averaging 26.7 points on 61.7% shooting, 5.5 assists, and 5.2 rebounds per game. I'll repeat, he averaged 26.7 points on nearly 62% shooting against that team. Just for comparison, James Harden has never shot over 60% in a playoff series. But nothing compares to what Dwyane accomplished in the finals. He averaged 34.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, 3.8 assists, and 2.7 steals per game. He is only the 10th player to average over 34 points in a final series. This is also the 3rd time since the NBA/ABA merger that a player won the title with no one else on the team averaging over 15 points. Shaq only averaged 13.7 points. So Jeff Teague saying that Wade has never really been by himself is completely misleading. For this series, Wade carried a heavy load. The next thing that Jeff said was that the Heat was trash when Wade was by himself. What? Let's look at the actual facts, shall we? Surely, he referred to the 2007/08 season when Miami only won 15 games. I understand that Wade was injured and he missed a large portion of the season. However, he was healthy enough to play 51 games and he only contributed to 10 victories. I believe that is a legitimate black mark in Wade's resume and is something that has been swept under the rug. Just to confirm that I'm not some kind of Dwyane Wade apologist, I will concede that this is something that we shouldn't just bypass. Now in the following 2 seasons, Jeff doesn't have much of a case. In 2009, Wade easily had one of the greatest individual seasons ever. He averaged 30.2 points on 49% shooting, 7.5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2.2 steals per game. He is the only player in NBA history to record over 2,000 points, 500 assists, 150 steals, and 100 blocks in a season. Keep in mind that this was nearly the exact same team that won only 15 games, and he single-handedly carried this team to 43 victories. Even though they only finished 2 games over 500, they were the 5th seed in the East. There is no doubt that he produced an MVP caliber season. The unfortunate thing is that LeBron James was having a Pantheon level season. In fact, in my recent book where I wrote about the 300 greatest regular seasons by a player, I had this 09 season by LeBron in the top 10. If this would have been James Harden's competition in 2018, he would have had the same number of MVPs as Dwyane Wade, 0. Then in 2010, Wade carried the Heat to the 5th seed yet again. For the 3rd year in a row, he didn't have a single teammate that averaged over 15 points, which explains why the Heat could never get past the first round. He nearly beat the Atlanta Hawks by himself in 2009, and he played extremely well against the Boston Celtics in 2010. He averaged 33.2 points on 56.4% shooting. He also shot 40.5% from the 3 on 7.4 attempts against his tough defensive team. Again, how many times has James Harden shot over 56% from the field in the playoffs? 0 times. But that's not all. He shot under 42% 18 times, which includes 10 times where he shot under 40%. That is more than enough proof to say without a question that Wade is a better playoff performer, and it isn't even close. And finally, Jeff mentioned that Wade had LeBron. Now obviously, that was a huge reason why the Heat won the title. This was LeBron at his apex. But believe it or not, the 2012 postseason is another reason why James Harden should never be considered the greater player. But before I begin my argument, I must put the disclaimer that I recognize how great LeBron was in the 2012 postseason. I believe it was the best playoff run of his career. With that being said, the Heat would have never won the title if it wasn't for Dwyane Wade. Keep in mind that Chris Bosh only played 16 minutes in the semifinals against the Pacers and was out for the first 4 games against Boston. In the next 3 games, he was not at full strength. LeBron did not win that title by himself. He needed Wade to step up, and he did exactly that. In the semifinals, he averaged 26.2 points on 47% shooting. That includes his monster performance in Game 6, when he had 41 points on 68% shooting and 10 rebounds. Then against Boston, without Chris Bosh, they won the first 2 games thanks to the 2-man tandem of James and Wade. May I remind you that Game 2 went to overtime, and Wade scored 8 of the Heat's 16 points in the extra period. If it weren't for those 2 huge victories, the Heat would have failed to reach the finals. He should absolutely get credit for adjusting his game for LeBron, but then stepping in when he needed help. And that's what makes Wade so special. He knew when to take a back seat and when to take over. Now let's look at James Harden. Since 2018, he has played with Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Joel Embiid. Now he's looking to add Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to that list. What does he have to show for it? Forget about not making the finals. He hasn't even reached the conference finals since leaving Houston. He learned how to take a back seat while playing with Joel Embiid, and that's great. But when the Sixers needed him to do more in the postseason, he has failed to deliver. How could you just completely ignore his constant failure in big moments? I understand that everyone is entitled to their opinion, but when it comes to winning, Harden ain't got nothing on Wade. But that's just me. Where do you land on this shooting guard debate? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.